Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're going back in time to remember the best of the best for the generation of gaming that popularized the entire industry. These are the 20 best NES games of all time. Picking the best is always going to be subjective, but we've done our best to select the games that you're definitely going to want to buy legitimately and play tonight. Before we continue, we publish content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified of our latest videos. Wizards & Warriors 3: Visions of Kuros. One of the more underappreciated games on our list is the legendary third entry in the Wizards & Warriors series. A Metroidvania type game that draws inspiration from the fantasy genre, players will take on multiple biomes, many types of enemies, and upgrade their character to different classes and types to progress in a game whose difficulty is comparable to a Souls game. Wizards & Warriors 3 introduces game mechanics that define games that are succeeding in 2024. It's also just dope as f***. Dr. Mario. Imagine combining the block puzzle solving mechanics of Tetris with the Mario-themed imagery and a medical twist. Well, let me introduce you to Dr. Mario. This game replaces Tetris blocks with viruses and dresses Mario in a lab coat, adding charm to an already wickedly fun gameplay experience. What we learnt in the early days of gaming is that adding Mario to anything is a great way to sell cartridges, and also discs for a little bit, and then cards. Really anything Nintendo puts out. Adventure Island 2. Although 3 Adventure Island games were released for the NES, the second installment stands out as one of the most refined and, in my own personal opinion, entertaining. I mean, look at the little dinosaur boy go, look at all those little mounts, look at that map! Ah! So good! The platforming is precise, and the new inventory system adds a welcomed layer of depth. The game introduced features that would go on to be used in Donkey Kong Country and be mainstays of that series. Some say without Adventure Island, there would be no Donkey Kong. I'm lying, nobody's ever said that, I just don't know how to transition to the next entry. Let's go! Excite Bike. Choosing the best racing game on the NES was no simple task. I'm lying, it's so easy because Excite Bike is the absolute shit. Riding motorcycles is undeniably fun. The side-scrolling action and epic wipeouts add a tension to the experience that is unmatched on the console. Excite Bike may well have also been the first game to ever feature a level editor, allowing racers to create their own levels and create their own experience. Dragon Quest III. With its expansive world and surprisingly deep story, Dragon Quest III holds strong as a fantastic JRPG experience, even by today's standards, and with the 11 main series games, it still stands as one of the best. Beyond its innovations, the game's stunning pixel art and delightful soundtrack perfectly capture the era's charm, even as it pushed beyond contemporary boundaries. Having a game on the NES that could easily pass as a good experience on the SNES shows you just how good this 80s classic is. Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden introduced many to the concept of a truly fluid action game. It truly is Ghost of Tsushima on the NES. With seamless controls and unrestricted movements, you could maneuver and strike with the swiftness of a ninja. It truly is Rise of the Ronin on the NES. Despite this fluidity, the game remained notoriously difficult. It truly is Sekiro Shadows Die Twice on the NES. I'm either really lazy or slightly racist. Please tell people I'm lazy. DuckTales. Given that DuckTales wasn't strictly an action show, a game adaptation had many potential directions. Would it take the route of The Mask and draw cartoon violence from the source material, or would it go the way of Home Alone and focus on platforming? Capcom opted for a unique hop and bop approach combining both elements. As Scrooge McDuck, you use your cane as a pogo stick to defeat enemies. While the platforming was solid, the real joy lay in treasure hunting. It's a blast to play and has a warm place in our hearts. Kirbys Adventure. Released in 1993, Kirbys Adventure is one of the later entries on the NES, and it takes full advantage of what developers had learnt about the console to showcase some impressive technical feats. The game introduced Kirby's ability to consume enemies and adopt their powers, a mainstay in the lore of Kirby and abilities Kirby continues to show off to this day. Although not particularly challenging, it remains entertaining throughout, and isn't that the main goal anyway? Kid Icarus. Kid Icarus is a beloved character and game, but was never taken full advantage of throughout the middle part of its life. The franchise received an acclaimed Nintendo 3DS follow-up in 2012 with Kid Icarus Uprising. The title expanded on the original's potential and provided a much-needed modern take on the series. The controls in Uprising were notably difficult, which makes sense as the original was a brutal and challenging experience that caused me to bite through an NES controller, well before I even had adult teeth. The game is phenomenal. River City Ransom. Some might know this game based on its very famous hacked version that circulated illegally, City Pimps. Many who've played this goofy experience don't even realize why its gameplay is so good, and that's because it's just a reskinned version of River City Ransom. In River City Ransom, upgrading your character through food and items is as central to the game as the fighting itself. When the fists start flying, it turns into a wild brawl, making full use of its expressive art style. It's one of the few games where you can even use the second player as a weapon. Punch-Out. The game we love to hate, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out was a masterpiece for mastering, taking on round after round of incredibly specific fighters, creating an experience that encouraged replayability and Souls-like difficulty. I've never made it to Mike Tyson, and let me tell you something, that fight is harder than any Elden Ring boss you'll ever take on. Contra. Contra on the NES is the quintessential run-and-gun shooter that established the series. It inspired other games with its smooth gameplay, clear visuals, diverse levels, and polished presentation. It had a level of difficulty that created a standard for the NES, for better or worse, and gave us a turn in mature-themed games. Contra is a very dope game, and its soundtrack is outstanding, which needs to be more well-respected. Creating a soundtrack on the NES is a difficult task. Final Fantasy. Released the same year as Contra was the JRPG legend that started one of the most successful series of all time, Final Fantasy. If you love RPGs, there's much to discover about the genre's history and plenty to enjoy by dedicating some hours to the original game. Admittedly, I tried to play it and it was genuinely too hard for me, but I'm a little baby, and you're a damn adult. Go for it. Tetris. When it comes to influential and well-known games, not many can reach the same status as Tetris. Tetris is the quintessential puzzle game, and the game everyone thinks they're brilliant at until they see competitive players and realize they actually suck terribly. It remains one of the purest and greatest games of all time, achieving legendary status compared to the timeless classics that have endured for centuries. Remade, reworked, and available right now on your phone, this game slaps. Mega Man 2. With more than 50 entries, Mega Man is a titan of a series, and Mega Man 2 on the NES remains at the top of the list of best entries for most Mega Man fans. The game's lasting appeal can be attributed to its memorable bosses, incredible music and amazing bosses, and phenomenal music and great bosses and pretty sick music, also tight as hell music. Iconic foes like Flashman, Heatman and Woodman stand out in the series, while Wily Stage 1 is arguably the best song in the entire series. Duck Hunt. It pains me to attach the worst dog in gaming history to this entry of best NES games, but it's undeniable that Duck Hunt from 1984 is not only one of the best NES entries, but one of the most influential testing grounds for Nintendo's future, setting up tech that would be used on the Wii and even the Nintendo Switch. Duck Hunt offers simple, enjoyable gameplay that anyone could pick up and play. I have fond memories of shooting ducks with my grandpa way back in 1997, 13 years after the game's release. Castlevania III: Dracula's Curse. Here's one that will split the fans, as many would argue that Castlevania 1 should take this spot, while others would contest that the third entry is the best of these two options. And because I sit in the latter camp and I'm not a professional, we're picking the third game for this spot. Castlevania III retains much of the original style and control. It introduces branching routes, multiple characters to recruit and partner with, and a greater variety of obstacles and challenges. Overall, it's a fantastic sequel, and maybe better than the first, depending who you are. And I am me, so shut up. Metroid. I completely understand why some people don't enjoy the original Metroid, as its unforgivable gameplay systems can be off-putting at first. However, if you can adjust to the initial difficulty Metroid presents, there's a whole lot to enjoy here. It's a challenging game with excellent progression, and let's not forget just how highly influential it was to the gaming world, with its exploration formula having a significant impact on the console, and even later consoles. It may be hard to get into today, but it's still worthwhile. Don't be a pussy. The Legend of Zelda. The game that launched Nintendo's most critically acclaimed franchise, the game that brought us the little green legend, the game that caused more confusion about the main character's name than any other game ever created. Let's talk about The Legend of Link. It blended action, adventure, and storytelling elements in an early open-world environment that has both unforgiving and thrilling elements. While it hasn't aged as gracefully as some of the other games on our list, and Nintendo has since refined this core concept in later entries, the original still deserves recognition for what it initiated. I'm playing through it literally right now, and it is still very, very fun. Super Mario Bros. 3. Most of the time, I have to separate my own personal opinion when coming to the final entry on any given list. My favourite Final Fantasy game is 6, not 7. My favourite PS2 game is Shadow of the Colossus, not GTA San Andreas. And my favourite NES game is Super Mario Bros. 3. And luckily for me, it seems to be everyone else's as well. So screw separating my own personal opinion. This game is the GOAT. It feels like it belongs to a different console generation, effortlessly featuring 4-way scrolling and fast movement. The level of variety is extraordinary, the level design is practically unmatched, and there are countless extras and secrets to discover. Even to this day, it's arguably one of the best Mario games ever made. Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from MojoPlays and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of our latest videos.